Hello, my dear friends of the Feng Shui, of the Chinese metaphysics, of the Bazi, of yes, and today the five elements, of course, and all of you who are in a change. So that is for you today. So if you feel that your space is more about or just okay in your home, so how about changing that? Changing that to being proud of your home, feeling nourished and supported, feeling at home in your home. So, creating the space that you really want to live in. So, hi, I'm Sandra, and I have been teaching in Consult Feng Shui now for almost 20 years, first in Germany and now here in beautiful New Zealand. And if you keep wondering about Feng Shui, tomatoes, it's all a question of dialect. So, in this series, Change Your Space with Feng Shui, you can discover how some of the most basic principles of Feng Shui can already make a huge difference in you feeling at home in your home. So, do you want to give it a try? In the past episodes, we already talked about some of the basic principles like what is Feng Shui, what is Qi, Yin, and Yang, other basic concepts like different schools, and also long term Feng Shui versus short term Feng Shui. And today, in this episode, we will have a closer look at the basic concepts of what are the five elements of Feng Shui. So we are talking in the Feng Shui always about five types of energy or five elements, the Wu Xing. So everything vibrates. Can we just agree on that? Everything is vibration. Everything has a frequency and everything changes. Sometimes good, sometimes we feel not so sure about it. But whatever it is, it does change, doesn't it? So, how do we get from the yin to the yang and from the yang to the yin? Last time we talked about the yin and the yang. So, the five elements are all about how to get to this flow of the chi, and how can we regulate it actually, and how can we kind of manipulate it sometimes to get from yin to the yang, from passive to the active, or from the yang to the yin, active to the passive. So, because you see, the thing is really, sometimes we think, oh, it's probably bad going from yang to the yin. But if you come home from work, what you want is really yin, relax. And when you wake up in the morning, it's probably better to go from yin to the yang, to be active. Okay, so here we go. And we will explore that in depth in my Space Creativist Mastermind. But for now, the system to explain the flow between those two extremes is in the circle of the five elements. So this circle can actually be very, very helpful in for your cure. If you have an imbalance in your home, if you have an imbalance in your life, or blockages even. So the five elements, as you see here, are water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. These are the elements we are working with in the Feng Shui. And this, what you see here, so you have a so-called productive cycle. And that is wood creates fire. That's just what it does. Fire burns substances to ash and produces earth. From earth comes metal, the minerals, and metal throughout condensation attracts water. Water nourishes and grows wood. So here we have this so-called productive cycles. And each of those elements represent five different stages in your life, five different emotions, colors, shapes, on and on and on. And you can say different stages in your life too, because water, you're born. Wood, you're growing like a seed. You start coming out of the earth and you're growing. Fire, you're going into success, adolescence. Earth is when you start to settle slowly. And metal is when you harvest. And then you go back to water. And it's the same cycle every year, isn't it? So we're coming from the winter into the spring, into the summer, autumn, and then going back to winter. So that is one of the cycles, the so-called productive cycle. But of course, we also have what we're using, a controlling cycle. That is the use of the aggressive and oppositional force of one element to control another element. Why would we want to control another element? Well, because there is maybe too much. Like if you're stressed out, you have too much fire, then you want to regulate the fire in your life. If you have many emotions, that would be the water element. You want to regulate that. If you're too stable, you can't move, it's unstuck, you just feel like I'm stuck, then it's probably the earth. If you can't make any decisions, we're looking into the metal. And if your creativity without end, so creativity is wood element, and you can't come into an output, then there's something happening between wood and fire. You can't get over a threshold. So this is how we can use it one way or the other way around. We can nourish the element, we can control the element. So fire melts metal, metal cuts wood, wood can break the earth, with the roots and the plants, and the earth borders and holds, so controls water. And then, of course, we also have a weakening cycle. So that's a draining element. And that transformation is less aggressive than the controlling one. So we can use all of this. So with those 5 elements, I look at the house, I look at the floor plan, I look at the people's life, and maybe there is too much fire, maybe there is too much water, maybe there is a problem with the decision making, maybe there is a problem with earth. I don't know. We will see. That come through the emotions, colors, environment, everything that we've talked about in the last episodes comes now into that. The yin and the yang, that flows into that circle in those 5 elements. And again, every cycle has its use. Every element has its use. There is no bias. Yin and yang, freedom and control are both required to achieve a certain outcome. You can't have one without the other. That's just how it is. So each element has a certain quality, and we will go into depth with that in my Feng Shui Mastermind. If you're interested, just flick me a message. But let's just go into one element to start with. So the fire element. The fire element firing, that needs to be a real fire to be a true fire element. The fire must run continuously, and then you can enhance that and get to the outcome. Like I said, with the creativity, that's not coming to an output if you're stuck or anything. So any item that produces heat can help with that. So all of those qualities, what I said, like fire is for sales, fire is for success, fire is for did I say sales? Yes. Sales, success, marketing, all of that is fire. So if you want to come to a successful career, the fire element is really important. But we have to see that you have enough wood underneath to feed the fire. Otherwise, what's happening? What's it called? A burnout. Exactly that. If you have nothing to feed the fire of your life, of your success, if there's nothing underneath that feeds that, you're getting burned out, right or not? And what's happening then? You become stuck, earth, solidified, can't make any decisions, everything's hurting. It's like, oh, yes, no, I don't know. And then you're going into the emotion, which is water. So you see how those elements really have a big impact into your life. And you can see it in nature, you can see it through the season, you can see it through the life. And that is so interesting to watch where you are in this very moment in your life and how that reflects actually in your home. So if your life is full of things, is like stressed out, I will have 2 different types of home to look at. One is that is totally cluttered because they're trying to get into the yin and into that space where they feel safe, or a minimalistic lifestyle. So someone who is really completely stressed out will go into extremes to try and help themselves because they are in the yang. So they're trying to go in this extreme to get to the yin because they know there's no other way for them to get down. So is that fascinating or not? I personally really love that topic. Seriously, I think it's fascinating how to use those 5 elements in your life and how they come into your life, how they seem to suddenly appear. Because of course they don't. It's a question of what have you done the years before to proceed that outcome. And then, of course, we would also look into the Bazi. What elements have you been given? Is there one missing? Do we need to replicate that around you? And that is really fascinating. So it's a whole picture that we're looking at here. We're looking at the floor plan. We're looking at the house itself. We're looking at the Bazi. We're looking at the environment. Remember the components, the 4 components of the Feng Shui? It's the environment, it's the building, it's the people, and it's time. And that is reflected also in the 5 elements. And if you're interested in knowing more, flick me an email and I can tell you something about my mastermind, which is called Space Creatorverse, because it's all about creating space, whether it's in the mind, in your place, in your surrounding, in your job. Isn't it true that it's at the moment all we want is space? And to define that space. And generally speaking, with Feng Shui, you will get analytics at hand to see your environment with different eyes and to analyze much deeper. And then you start realizing what is lacking in your life or what you need to change. And depending on your focus, what you want to know, you will choose a different approach within the Feng Shui principles. I already said short-term versus long-term, inside, outside, whatever you want to achieve and what your goal is, this is the principle that we're starting to use. I want you to be able to create a space that works for you and not the other way around, you working your butt off for your place. What the heck? And in my next video, I will talk about something I rarely speak about in the open, which is called the I Ching. I use it on a daily basis, and it is about how to use the I Ching for your life planning, down to the day and hour even. So it's about selecting the right time and the right date for what? Exactly that. For instance, for meditation. So let me tell you in my next video how to use that for planning your business, planning your life, planning an occasion, or just to guide you through the currents of life. And as I always say, if you just want to hang up crystals and wait for your life to change, well, good luck. It's not Feng Shui, it's something else. So if you like what you see and hear, like it, share it, subscribe, comment. Let me know what your Feng Shui problems are and what else you would like to know about it. I would like to invite you on this journey with me. And I'm looking forward to your comments and seeing you again here on this channel. Bye for now. See you.